We will now call a Plan Commission of June 10th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Anna here.
Couch here.
Kupczynski here.
Lorick here. Lukavich here.
Guzikowski here.
Oldani here.
Seipert here.
Okay. That will get us to the approval of the minutes of May 27th, 2025. I'll give you just a minute or two to look that over if you haven't had the chance. And you feel there's no discussion, errors, omissions, or corrections, motion.
Seipert moves to approve the minutes of May 27th, 2025.
Clark seconds.
Roll call, beginning with Christine.
Anna, I.
Couch aye.
Kupczynski, aye.
Lorick, aye. Gavich, aye.
Guzikowski aye.
Oldani, aye.
Seipert, aye.
In item 4, first item of the night is a site plan and architectural review and related plans for the construction of Buena Beef Restaurant and Rainbow Cone Ice Cream Shop. Proposed businesses to be located 8767 South Howell Avenue. Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so you guys may recall, Commission may recall back in March, second meeting in March, that this applicant was seeking a conditional use permit for a drive-through for their proposed restaurant there on Howell. Since that meeting, that conditional use for a drive-through was approved by Common Council. So they've returned for their site plan review here to construct that restaurant, which is a Buena Beef Restaurant and Rainbow Cone Ice Cream Shop. Much is similar from when you saw the concept back in March. They're looking at a approximately 4,700 square foot building, 1 story, and it would have a drive-through on the southern part of the lot with 2 lanes serving that drive-through and also bypass lane. There's going to be an outdoor patio for dining to the north of the building. They're proposing 58 parking spaces, which does meet the minimum requirement for parking on site. With the development, they're looking to maintain 41% of it in green space. Part of that will contain the 2 stormwater basins on site. And as part of the review, there was a traffic impact analysis done by the Wisconsin DOT, and they determined or ruled in order to give access for this building onto Howell, that the access that is currently there for the property to the north, which is a dental office, I believe, is vacated. And that access then becomes a cross access between those 2 properties. So there is an agreement in place between those 2 properties for that cross access. So that's what you'll see on the site plan as well, the drive connecting to the north. In addition, through that TIA, it was stated that they need to extend the curb and gutter in the median on Howell Avenue, along with extending the cross hatching striping that is denoting the northbound turn lane that would be turning into this development, and all to line up with the use across Howell, which is shopping center where Pick and Save is, and that there would be a cross hatching striping that would be put on Howell in front of that access point for the shopping center, and in addition, some do not block signage in that intersection, keep traffic moving. You'll see in the conditions that to address any potential traffic concerns in the future, that there'll be no permits issued for this project until a memorandum of understanding is executed between the city and the applicant. That would address any future potential issues and potential modifications, and make sure that, identify that the cost for those would be for the applicant for those changes and modifications. Architectural, you can see that it's primarily a brick veneer building, multiple colored bricks, a lot of horizontal, vertical variations in the building. and access points, like the orangish brick in the front. Again, architectural features. They're also going to have an architectural tower on the northeast end of the building, which will also function as its sign. And that will be about 6 feet taller than the rest of the building. And that's going to be clad with fiber cement siding. They also feature canopies at the entrances for customers to well define those entry points. There'll be a flat roof, as you can see, with parapet walls, walls to function also as screening for mechanicals, rooftop mechanicals. And as I mentioned before, the outdoor dining patio area will be enclosed with decorative railing and landscaping as well. So you can see the renderings that I have on the screen for you. One from Howell viewing southwest, the other looking south at that patio area. Kind of turning around the building, you can see on the south end, which is the top photo, that's where the drive-through comes through. Right now on the plan, it's just kind of a blank rectangle over there on that side of the building, which is a 16 by 10 foot space for a mural to be developed in partnership with the city. You can see they provided me an example of one that they've done in other locations, just to give you an idea of what that could look like. And then on the rear of the building, they have the concrete block brick veneered enclosure with steel gates. That is for enclosure of the trash dumpsters, also screening of the coolers back there. For landscaping, they did do a tree preservation plan, submitted that. There were some trees that were kind of central in the lot that fell underneath the preservation requirement. 7 of those, so they are proposing to remove 7 trees. Or they're looking to replace those trees with the appropriate number of 24 trees on site. So you can see in the landscaping plan, it's pretty robust as far as the plantings along especially the west and south of the building. Otherwise, in reviewing other landscaping for their interior parking lot, the building foundation and transition areas, ample landscaping and meeting all the requirements per code for landscaping on site. As far as lighting, they are proposing 9 wall-mounted lights, fixtures around the perimeter of the building, in addition 4 light poles throughout the parking lot. All of those lights are maximum 5,000 Kelvin and all to be directed downward. In addition, there's going to be 6 wall-mounted architectural wash lights around the building, and so those will be actually facing upward and downward, just low luminosity, just lighting up the architectural features of the building. And meeting code requirements there. And I believe the applicants are here if you have any questions. Otherwise, we have staff prepared the following suggested motion condition.
Thank you, Todd. Would the applicant like to say anything or wait on questions from the commission? Yes, sir. Thank you. With that, we'll go to the commission. Fred, you want to start?
Okay. The only concern I have is a median strip, to put that in. I really see a major problem because of
Are you talking on Howell Avenue?
Huh?
The one on Howell?
Yeah, one on Howell.
And just let me take that just a little step further. So the state conducted a traffic analysis on that. Our city staff was looking to have that closed off. At this time, the state found it not necessary. So as Todd alluded to, there's actually an agreement that Bueno Beef went into with the state. And basically, if there's X amount of accidents, I forget the number, certain amount in so much time, they are required by the state to close that off. But until then, they will operate in the mode that's been laid out. Did I explain that right, Todd? Or Ashley?
Yep, that's right, exactly.
Ashley
So,
says yes.
Yeah, staff advocated for it as well, but the state, when the state comes out with their traffic analysis, can overrule us, so.
Oh, That's the only concern I have.
Yeah, staff had the same concerns because, you know, you have multiple businesses there on the east side of the street, and this one as well. So it is dictated by a state contract.
Thank you.
Is that it, Fred? Okay.
It's up to
Don,
you.
you're up.
Yep. The only question that stands out is when they're coming around the corner for the drive-through. You can see there's a walkway kind of right before the exit off the property, and wondering if there's a plan. Yep, right there. If there's a plan to have like a yield sign or a crossing sign for a pedestrian crossing sign there, so people aren't just, I mean, you know, just blowing right by there. I'm hoping there is either stop, yield, pedestrian crossing, something to make sure people are looking before they just drive right over that crosswalk there.
Do you have the answer? If not, we'll ask the applicant to address
Well, I
it.
mean, so that you see that they have the striping there to indicate, you know, pedestrian crossing, and that's what we require by code. So if there was something further that Plan Commission felt was
Applicant, if
necessary.
you'd like to comment on it, please come up. We'd need your name and address, for full name and address for the record, please.
Eric Peterson. I'm with Keystone Planning and Design, 7075 Veterans Parkway in Blue Ridge. As Todd said, we do have the crosshatch. If you would like to see a sign added there, we would be happy to add a sign. We can figure out what would be best, if it's pedestrian yield or
Pedestrian cross.
Yeah, I think like a
Pedestrian
pedestrian crossing. I personally have to say, I know how it is. You're excited about your beef, digging in the fries bag. You may not be paying attention. Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a stop sign. I think just a pedestrian crossing sign is a little more in their face than noticing the hatching on the ground. That's my
Safety is priority.
that's what I would like to see right there. That's really my only comment. I think everything else looks fine.
Chris?
I have no comments.
Greg?
This wasn't the location that originally had the drive-through right along Howell, is it?
Yes. Let me think about that.
No, I mean, we had that other one where you talked about what the actual windows for the drive-through
Was
were like
facing Howell.
facing
That's
how.
not this
That's
one.
not this one.
Okay.
No, this is
Well,
pretty much in line with what
if-
they had drawn for their conditional
Okay.
use.
if you didn't change anything, I still appreciate the fact that the drive-through is not facing Howell and off to the side, and it's not on the side where the easement goes to the other property. It's kind of tucked away on the side there. But other than that, I have no issues with this. Thanks.
Ashley?
The stormwater management plan was preliminarily reviewed. No concerns at this time, so we'll just continue to work with the applicant on completing that final stormwater management plan and then moving forward from that to a stormwater maintenance agreement. On the other comment, Todd, would you be able to bring up the view that has the median shown on there? So I believe that those proposed do not block signs should be for traffic northbound. So they kind of further enforcing that hatching on the ground. Like approaching the intersection of Putes. I guess to put it for southbound traffic, Putes is kind of close there, so I don't know if we want to be backing up into that intersection. So I would, I believe the intent was to have those do not block signs for that hatched area for northbound traffic. All right, thank you.
Hey, Ashley?
That's it, thank you.
Steve?
No questions.
Yes, just one comment that from the aerial view that for this parcel, it seemed that there is already a left turn median there. So, and it, especially for this driveway.
there is, just extending the existing
Yes. Yes, just for the ballpoint, right? Yes. So it's already, there is one, because I'm just answering that. So there is already one existing there. You're just going to extend it to this. Okay. Now, how are you, I know it's not part of this, but there's a lot of kids going to be accessing this. So are you making sure that there is good access for the pedestrian?
We were
Okay.
just talking about there's a crosswalk from the public sidewalk to the front door area and also the patio area.
I'm talking about in the parcel itself. So when you have like those angle, I don't know if you have it angle or not. Okay, no, you don't have angle parking. So when they back up and the people are walking, or pedestrian, I should say, you have angle space, enough space for the pedestrian to walk, and kids, especially from the drive-through, or walking, or the sitting out, the dining area in the outdoor.
There's a railing that defines the patio area, and then there's sidewalk in between that and the parking area.
So is there railing in between or no? Okay, good. Thank you.
My only question, I'm sure this is, your corporate version, where your dumpster location is, it's on the west side of the building, associated to it. I imagine you do it in a lot of locations. Early morning pickups when you don't have customers in, and deliveries as well, because garbage truck getting in there is kind of tight.
Correct, they try to do that before they open, so minimize any the traffic impact that might have.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not your first location, so I just wanted to point that out. Looking for it, usually we tuck it in the corner somewhere, but as long as it's masonry and meets our code, just want to make sure it fits your business model as well. So,
They like to have it close, that they don't have to walk all the way over to the corner, and helps hide it as well, that it's right behind the building, so you don't see it from how.
otherwise, I think the commissioners pretty much covered anything that I had question on. Again, we kind of covered the situation with Howell Avenue. So all I can say is a lot of people are looking forward to this. To hear about it. So if there's no further discussion, we will look for a motion.
Orc moves to approve the site architectural and related plans for construction on the property at 8767 South Howell Avenue with the following conditions. 1, that all relevant code requirements remain in effect. 2, that an updated lighting plan be provided to the Department of Community Development to show all architectural accent wash lighting with low luminosity lamps of 2000 source lumens or less, and that the illumination on any vertical surface not exceed 0.5 maintained foot candle and not spill over roof lines or building edges. And 3, that a memorandum of understanding is executed between the City of Oak Creek and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation addressing potential median modifications based on applicable crash warrant criteria. If such modifications are determined to be necessary, the full cost of design and construction shall be the responsibility of the developer or property owner at that time.
Hold on, 20 seconds.
Roll call, beginning with Steve.
Alchai.
Kipchinsky, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Hold on, aye.
Seifert, aye.
And I.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Best of luck, and stay in touch if you need anything from engineering, anything like that. Don't hesitate to call. All right.
I'm just noticing actually that Don and Greg's signs are reversed. Whether it matters, I got a little confused with that. Like, wait a minute.
Let's swap
Unless you
those
guys
out.
are, being each other today. I don't know.
Good catch. Good catch. Okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's a way to fool them.
Item 5, conditional use permit amendment with conditions and restrictions. We will review a request for that conditional use permit amendment, along with conditions and restrictions to include the property at 2420 West Rawson Avenue, submitted by Dax Conley of Coons Auto and RV Group, and Craig Hoffman of Pinnacle Engineering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so this property, 7020 South 27th Street, which is on that corner, direct corner, 27th and Rawson, currently auto sales, and has a conditional use permit for auto sales. They're looking to extend the area of that conditional use to go eastward onto and include the property at 2420 West Rawson. So looking to amend that current conditional use, condition and restrictions. A couple of just housekeeping things as far as updating the applicant's name and property address just to reflect the new ownership since the conditional use was permitted or granted. Some changing of terminology for our current code, or what used to be called automotive sales service and private car wash facility now is just covered by vehicle sales. So just changing the name of what the conditional use is for. The big one is modifying the legal descriptions, which used to be just including that property on the corner, but now includes both properties, or would include both properties. And then, that was the conditional use conditions and restrictions were done when we had, before we did our most big update of our code. So we had at that time a 27th Street and a regional retail overlay district. That's no longer in our code anywhere. So just eliminating reference to that since it does not exist. Also, as you often see in conditions and restrictions, there'll be references to a certain section of the code that, for lighting, for example. Well, when we did our big update to our chapter 17, some of those numbers changed. So, the section number changed that refers to those elements of the code. So just going through and doing some of those kind of like cleanup of that. Just to give you an idea, so why are they doing this? So they're looking to extend their parking area for their vehicles to the east, where it's currently undeveloped. Again, you've seen this before. This is the review criteria for conditional use permits. I'm not going to read through them because I've done that before, but I have them in case you want to take a look at what are those, criteria again. But otherwise, I have the suggested motion up for you on the screen. I don't know if any here. So if you have any questions.
Thank you, Todd. Applicant, you want to say anything at this time or wait on questions, make a statement? Okay. Start.
Yeah, can you bring the exhibit where those detention ponds? What is the impact on the detention ponds there, and how is this going to be petrified or rectified, I should say?
Well, I should note that, so at this phase, they're just, amending the conditional use, and then actually we're going to have a CSM on the next one, but they will have to come back for, with actually proposing the parking lot, so they'll have to come back for a site plan for that. So at that time, unless Ashley has a comment to that, but, that's when we'll review and make sure that it works out.
All right, I have no more questions.
No questions.
Ashley.
No questions.
Greg.
Being that you're a new owner since the initial conditional use was approved, I just noticed that the Coons Auto Group is also auto and RV. Do you plan on selling RVs at this location? Okay. Other question, are these conditions and restrictions pretty much the same as previously approved?
Yeah, the only thing that we changed is, the big one was the legal description, just to make sure that the conditions that were approved now, encompass both parcels.
Okay.
And again, like I said, just the fact that the section numbers didn't line up anymore, and it referred to a code, an overlay district that used to be overlaying this area, but doesn't even exist anymore. So we didn't change otherwise any of the conditions.
Okay. And this obviously predates.
It does.
And maybe it's because it's 27th, but for some reason I thought that this property, when it was originally built, there was a condition that they were not to be offloading vehicles right on 27th Street, which is still happening quite often. And maybe it's allowed, but I could have sworn that this and another property were told not to do that.
It might have included this one, but for sure it was.
That was Carvana, maybe.
It's Carvana.
Okay.
But this one might have been it.
But I don't see it in
I'm
here
sure the
anywhere.
state ain't letting them do it on 27th.
Yeah, these were, I think that it was originally from like 2018 and then amended to change because at that time, and then in 2021, I think it was, they added the corner that was vacated by the DOT, and then they absorbed that into their CUP. But I think in all those changes, none of the like conditions changed other than the area.
Okay. And maybe it wasn't printed in the first one. I could have sworn that that wasn't allowed. I don't see it in this one either. So I guess just a question or maybe something. Other than that, I don't have questions. Chris?
Don't have any questions?
Yeah, I have one question, probably for Todd. So, if they're going to have the conditional use permit and the conditions and restrictions now moved over to the next property, which looks like goes behind the residential properties there, what are the steps they would have to do if they wanted to expand even more? I just want to be concerned about those residential properties there, that they don't start having long-term parking, storage right in their backyard there. What would have to happen for that?
Well, as I mentioned previously, just for this concept they have right now, they have to come before the Plan Commission for approval of that expansion that they're right now thinking of. If then they want to expand that even further, again, they would have to come before Plan Commission for that approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as is right now, I don't have a problem. I think it would be a much different discussion if they wanted to start developing further, kind of encroaching on not their property, but when you're getting close, I think there's concerns. So, all right, that's good to know, and that's my only question.
Fred?
Todd, how many parking spots have we had on this?
Maybe they could answer that question, but I mean, again, right now, this is just kind of a concept as to like, well, why are they changing the outline, the borders of the CUP versus the actual, again, site plan review. So again, when they are coming forward at that step, we'll be looking at exactly how many parking spaces they're doing. We'll be looking at the screening and the lighting, also to kind of protect those residents to the east. But unless the applicants have that number, kind of what they're thinking, but I don't at this point have that number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Fred. So Don pretty much addressed what I was thinking, because that's a large property they acquired. How many acres total? Yes, not important, but I have those concerns with Don as well.
That the one? Maybe is that the one that's 8 acres? No, I think that one's 4.7. So one of the ones larger.
Because they got all the property going all the way behind those 6 homes, correct? So I guess this is, we do show some proposed streets, which are just lines on a map, but I guess that's out of play forever.
I have a question. Isn't it there is a limit of parking stall per area or acres that you can use it to calculate how many parking stall you can have? There must be something like that.
Dealership.
Yeah, I mean, for general parking, which this would be, also for, parking their vehicles they're selling, but I mean, for general parking, you can't exceed 20% more than what the minimum is.
Yeah.
That would be for parking, that would be, how many customers you have.
Yeah.
This kind of falls a little bit into, the merchandise.
I'm just saying,
Right.
like, if you have, for example, 10 by 5, okay, stall, and then you have to divide how much the acreage, you divide by that. So, and then you know how many stalls you would have. And of course, you have to include the pathways and the other divided direction, maybe like access or something from that
I think it
aspect.
falls differently with car sales. Do, I think you're thinking
Matt?
more of general merchandise. There we'll have
Yeah.
how many spots
I mean,
you
for
need.
generally for parking, it goes off the square footage of the building, right? So if you have X square footage of building, and depending on the use, that's the minimum number of parking spots needed based off that
okay.
use and how much square footage that use is. Again, so this is different category because it's not a parking for customers. It's also leads into being a space for, you know, showing their merchandise, their cars. So, but yes, normally for parking, yes, it goes off the use and how much square footage the building is.
So Ashley, just, I know that's a difficult thing we tried to piece together back there, but, you know, there was some talk about one day possibly doing it, so let's kind of take that out of play.
So that officially map street pattern is still shown on the CSM. That's on the next agenda item, which is not being impacted by that conceptual layout of the parking lot. So that layout is to the east, so there still is
Setback
an
would be okay,
opportunity.
Or does
I mean,
the
we've got,
topography
there's a
change?
stormwater pond there. I
There's-
mean,
I know,
there's hurdles.
There's a lot going on.
But I don't think the parking lot per se
Okay.
is, you know, taking it out of the equation.
Okay.
Kind of skipped forward, but here's not to give away at the end, but here's the CSM that they're proposing for the next item, and you can see dashed here
Okay.
is that future road for our official map. And so that stops, I mean, I think the parking is more like over here.
It's just, you know, keep in mind the conditional use permit, cover the entire. So to Don's point, they would have to come back through planning, and I'll just be straight up honest with you. I think it would be really cool having a parking lot behind those folks. But, you know, it's your property and your proposal, but it would be up to the planning commission. And of course, council going forward. So, we will be sensitive. It's really a nice secluded neighborhood there. I mean, you're gonna have parking lots and you're gonna protect your product without a doubt, but, we'll hold pretty tight to city specs and the whole deal on that screening as well, if and when the time comes.
And of course, that's why we're here, is to potentially approve
Yeah.
or not the extension.
Okay,
To realize
we're
that, yeah,
covered.
this could mean, you know, further push into that, lot.
So just to be clear, within the conditional use, auto only, not RV, as Greg mentioned.
That's not specified, I don't believe. It's auto sales.
Because it is auto sales, and they said they're only gonna do autos, so would you guys be comfortable if we specified in the conditions and restrictions, auto only, no RV? They're indicating yes. Is there any further discussion? So, in the motion, I would just make reference that it's auto. And auto does include pickup truck, SUV, just not the big RV. Okay, there's no further discussion. Motion.
Lork moves to recommend that the Common Council approve a conditional use permit amendment to include the property at 2420 West Rawson Avenue, submitted by Dax Conley of Coons Auto and RV Group and Craig Hoffman of Pinnacle Engineering Group, to include auto only in the conditions and restrictions, after a public hearing and subject to conditions and restrictions.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call with Ashley.
Kipchinsky, aye.
Lork, aye.
Davich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Aldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
And I.
Balch, aye.
Okay. Item 6 is review of a certified survey map combining the properties at 7020 South 27th Street and 2420 South Rawson Avenue. Once again, submitted by Dax Conley of Coons Auto and RV Group and Craig Hoffman of Engineering Group. Todd?
Yeah, you know, I gave this one away. But as we've discussed, currently it's 2 lots, 7020 South 27th and 2420 West Rawson, as shown on the screen there. Again, they're looking to CSM. They're just looking to combine it into one big lot. Again, so that they can potentially expand that parking lot into this area. You know, part of that reason is that with our code, you can't build a parking lot unless you have a principal structure. So they need to combine these two properties because they can't build a parking lot without a building. So that's what's prompting as well as the combining of these 2 lots. Here, and here is a suggested motion.
Okay. We'll write to the council, guys, if you don't mind. Fred? Any questions?
No.
Don?
If these 2 properties are not combined, they're 2 separate properties, they can still operate them as one, correct?
Well, I mean, they can. It depends on what you mean by operate them as one. I mean, again, like they need to have them combined in order to have the expansion of the parking. Because again, we don't allow a parking lot on a lot that doesn't have a principal structure, and then it would be 2 separate lots. And then potentially they could sell the lot with a parking lot, and then we would have a lot, separate ownership, no building, just parking. And that's not permitted in the city.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm just trying to keep these houses in mind, and if we could I'm just thinking, you know, if there was a way to combine lot 1 and part of lot 2 to I don't even know if that's possible or not. I'm just keeping those houses in mind. I'd like to see those houses, you know, not having cars basically parked in their backyard one day. So I don't know if that's a possibility or not. That's kind of where I was going with that.
I mean, the challenge there is that, you know, one, if we chop off the back portion there behind the residences, we would be creating potentially a landlocked property. Like, I know there's the future road, but it's not. There's no public right of way there currently, so we don't permit that. We would have that issue. Or if you divide them, down the middle somewhere, they may not have the frontage that you require for that zoning, and also we'd be kind of creating funky looking, odd shaped lots that are not that makes challenges as well. So, if you're going to,
yeah, I get it.
You know, it's either a kind of all or nothing.
That's why I was asking. Okay, that was my only question.
Chris?
Yeah, we definitely need to keep the houses in mind, and but I would be opposed to combining them.
Greg?
Yeah, I mean, they own both properties. It's their right to combine them into one lot. I do agree with Don. If there was a way to create an outlot or something back there. But looking at the CSM, it looks like there's a lot of wetlands back there. So I would anticipate it being difficult to put anything back there. But since the applicant's here, maybe they're willing to answer. Do you have any plan for that property back there? Or is this simply to do that additional parking on, right on Rawson?
Guys, we'll need your name and address for the record.
Dax Conley, 2141 East Geneva Street, Delavan, Wisconsin, Director of Development for the Cunis Group. We do not have any future plans for anything besides what we need to get more inventory to sell. We have a lot of service vehicles that are there. They're servicing 40 to 45 cars a day in the service. So delivery is an issue. We need to move some cars to get delivery safely onto our property. The future road really divides where that house sits currently and where our parking lot is. So that's as close as we're gonna be able to get to that house. As far as maybe an outlot, when the road does get developed, if it stays the way it's designed today, those lots or those ponds would probably fall across the street and become behind those houses and use the wetlands that are currently there.
Thank you for the explanation, sir.
Yeah, so the conceptual, I know we're not talking about the site plan yet, but conceptually what you provided, that's all you're looking for right now, is that addition?
Correct, unless you want some RV sales back there. No. I'm kidding.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ashley,
No questions, thank you.
Steve,
No questions.
Tina?
Nothing here, thank you.
No, it's all been covered, so there's no further discussion, motion.
Clerk moves to recommend to the Common Council that the certified survey map to combine the properties at 7020 South 27th
Oh,
Street.
I'm sorry, sir, if, you'll have to come up and we'll need your name and address, sir. Not a public.
Wakefield.
Hang on, gotta get up on the mic. This isn't a public hearing, but I'll allow you to
Bill
speak.
Wakefield, 2231 West Cedar Street. I'm an adjacent property to Coons. You cannot build on it, lot number 2.
Sir, you gotta stay on the microphone.
This is a wetland.
Sir, you have to stay on the microphone.
You can't hear me?
We need you, that is the rules, my friend. So please, get on the microphone. We have everything right in front of us.
Well, I'd like to show you that you cannot build on that lot 2 that you showed. And you mentioned that future road. That wasn't a future road. That was a previous road that they were planning on building years ago, like 25 years ago.
Sir, so the roads, they're just placeholders. It just depicts a road. It doesn't.
I can hardly hear you.
It depicts a road. It doesn't have the exact location of where that road would be. It's just always been a conceptual plan to have that road through there. So that is what it is. Now, before they can build anything, they have to do their wetland delineation and the whole thing to deem that they can do what they're proposing to do, and that would be one of the next steps coming through planning on that lot.
Yeah, keep that in mind because that doesn't drain very, very well.
Yeah, correct. And again, our engineering staff, I have very good confidence in them. They do not want to put anything in that will impede your property. So we take stormwater very seriously here in the city. The last thing we want to do is create more problems.
So what's going to happen to 2040 West Rawson?
2040.
Are they going to buy it and then tear it down and build part of that parking lot?
Which is 2040, sir? Is it lot 2?
2040 is lot 2 that I have it by here, and there's
That will become part of lot 1. It will all be considered one lot, and it will probably keep the same address as lot.
So 2040 West Rawson encompasses all lot 2?
Correct.
Correct, yes.
Oh, okay, that surprises me. I thought it was just that one home.
No.
Yeah, there's no improvements on that lot.
Well,
No.
from what I see where they had that proposed area that they're going to put the parking lot in, that looks okay. Because I lived there for 41 years and I know that area.
Yeah, nothing, as the applicant said, nothing's proposed in lot 2, and one of the commissioners also
Yeah, that looks kosher.
pointed out the wetlands and everything like that, which has been most of the discussion going forward, so.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we did have, right?
I didn't finish.
We're starting? Okay, go ahead. I'm lost. Go ahead.
Clerk recommends to the Common Council that the certified survey map to combine the properties at 7020 South 27th Street and 2420 West Rawson Avenue be approved with the following conditions. 1, that all technical corrections, including but not limited to spelling errors, minor coordinate geometry corrections, and corrections required for compliance with the municipal code and Wisconsin statutes are made prior to recording.
Guzekowski, a second.
Roll call, starting with Greg.
Lorick, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Goldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Hannah, aye.
Bouch, aye.
Krasinski, aye.
Okay. Before we adjourn, just one announcement. July I'm sorry, June 14th is Flag Day. We have our annual celebration here in the city of Oak Creek. Will take place right in Drexeltown Square. We will have the American Legion there. It starts at 4 o'clock, goes to 5:30. There will be bands, some speeches. The young people of the city will come up, talk about what the flag means to them. And more importantly, if you have any flags that need to be properly retired, our fire department will safely monitor a flag burning ceremony in the square. So please join us if you can. We are one of the few communities in southeastern Wisconsin that actually holds a Flag Day event. So please join us. With that, if there's any comments, if not,
Boys
business-
varsity just won their sectional game, so they'll be going back to state
Oh,
again this year.
good news. Good
Nice.
news.
Outstanding.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Oak Creek Boys Baseball Team, wish them the best of luck up there. So, there's no further business. Motion to adjourn, please.
Seifert moves to adjourn the meeting at 6:48.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call, beginning with you, Chris.
Guzekowski, aye.
Eldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Anna, I.
Ouch, aye.
Chinsky, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Kavich, aye. Good night, everybody. Have
Nice.
an outstandingly well week.